Hey everybody, Greg Harrelson here again with you this week with my co-host Abe Safa and bringing another episode of Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV right to you. Abe, I'm sure we continue to say this, but it's been another busy week, another great week for those that are buying, or especially for those that are selling in the local real estate market. Let's go ahead and start sharing with them, some thoughts. And I'm assuming you have some numbers, right?
As always, yeah.
You have some numbers.
I'm actually writing down some numbers right now of a
Yeah.
stat that I saw earlier that I thought was pretty powerful.
Well, cool. Well, hey, before we get into the numbers, we're dealing with a market that's changed. Obviously, there's low inventory. We know that. We've been saying that for months over months lately. But one of the things that I've seen is a little bit of frustration with sellers when they put their property on the market and what happens in the first week. And so I thought maybe we could set some better expectations for those that are thinking about selling. This is the thing that's going to happen in the first week that the property is launched, especially if it's marketed correctly. I should say this is what's happening with our sellers quite often. So, picture we get a listing, Abe, and I just want to communicate with the consumer. What can they expect? Like, what do you see? You put the listing, you take the listing, what are the steps and what is going to happen as soon as you launch? Why don't you just start off and then I'll kind of fill in some ideas also.
Okay, so you're talking about what we do personally within our company and myself, or are you talking about the overall market right now?
I'm really wanting to share with the sellers what they can expect, not expect us to do for them. Okay. What they can expect is going to happen. Like, we know one thing's going to happen is in the first 24 hours, we're going to get multiple showing requests. So when we put the property on the market, and we hit the button to launch it to the public, say the MLS and all the websites and Zillows and all those things, and we go and we do some marketing on their property. In the first 24 hours, we're likely to have 5 to 10 showing requests. So one thing you could expect is that you're going to see these showing requests coming in. So you might get pinged on your email multiple times or called multiple times. Hey, we've got a showing request. Can we do it at 1? Another showing request. Can we do it at 2? Another showing request. Can we do it at 11? And I only share this because sometimes sellers didn't know that it was going to happen that fast and they were overwhelmed. Right. So that's one thing. What else should sellers expect to happen?
Yeah, no question. So, I mean, expect to, assuming it's marketed appropriately, right? In this market, expect to get an offer fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And expect to possibly get multiple offers.
Yes.
So the one mistake that I'm seeing a lot of agents right now do in the market is they get an offer and automatically they just jump on it and they call the seller and they negotiate it and move on. When if they would have just waited a couple of more hours, waited another day, it could have been a multiple offer situation.
Yes.
So I know what I'm doing with my sellers is just being a little bit more patient. Of course, we have to notify a seller wnever there is an offer. So I typically will call an offer, let them know, call the seller and let them know, hey, we just got an offer. But let's sit on this for a little bit because we do have 4 or 5 more showings scheduled today. Let's kind of see what happens with those and maybe we get into a multiple offer. So it is not uncommon right now to get multiple offers instantly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. And you're, when you're representing a seller, you have a fiduciary duty to that seller. When you're representing a buyer, there's some fiduciary duties you have to the buyer. But in this case, we're talking about sellers. So one of your fiduciary duties, as long as you're following law and we're not being unethical and again, nothing illegal, as long as we're, passing those tests, then it's our duty to make sure that we do everything we can to help our seller get multiple offers, because that's likely going to lead to better price and terms for that seller. So most of the properties that we're listing today, we're creating multiple offers from the way that we're by the way we're marketing the property. So they should expect multiple offers. I want to add to that. Because we bring an offer so fast, don't make the mistake by assuming that maybe you listed the property at too low of a price. So what happens a lot of times is we put a property on the market, we get in multiple offers really fast, and the seller gets remorse, like, oh my, we underpriced the property. No, it's not that. It's just that there's a waiting list for a new property to come on. So when it comes on the market, you can expect huge volume of showings and offers within the first week to 10 days. But what we'll see, if after 10 days, it really, really, really decreases. Your showing activity will decrease, and the offer activity will decrease, because all the pent-up demand, all those buyers that were waiting, they went in and attacked the new property the first day. So understand that that's the market now. So that doesn't mean you underpriced. It just means that, as we tell you, there's a waiting list of buyers for that next property. That just tells me that we ran through that waiting list. It's almost like an auction scenario where people are competing for that property. So you got a lot of activity right from the get-go.
That's a good point, Greg, because not every home is selling.
That's right.
Yeah, so there are homes that actually will go through that first 5 or 6 or 7 days where the buyers that are waiting for that kind of property, they pass on it because it is overpriced and it does just sit there. So we are still getting homes that expire off the market, believe it or not, in this type of market, and that has to do with pricing or maybe lack of marketing effort. Yeah, could be a possibility as well.
What's another expectation? Do you have anything else in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, when you do get those offers early, like you said, don't assume that, okay, well, we underpriced it, but I think that you can be a little bit firmer.
Yes.
On your negotiating, right? So I do think with the lack of inventory right now, there's just so much demand and so little supply. I think you could be a little bit firmer on negotiating. We are seeing offers come in stronger. Yes. So I mean, it's rare. I'm hardly seeing any lowball offers anymore in this market. People are coming in strong.
Yeah.
So I think expect to see a good offer. Expect to see it early, and then you can hold a little bit firmer on negotiating.
Yeah, and not only, and when you say good offers, not only good in price, but good on terms. People are making offers and they're saying, hey, look, we'll even waive the contingency on the inspection, that maybe we'll still get an inspection, but we will put in writing that the seller doesn't have to correct anything on the inspection, that they'll accept the property as is. So you can expect that we're negotiating better terms even in those particular areas. The last thing that I'll say is this. Sometimes the price is being driven up so fast that the buyer's willingness to pay a higher price is ahead of the market price, meaning like we're getting to the financing and we're finding out that some of the properties are not appraising.
Right. Greg, you're freezing up on my end.
Okay.
You there?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if it went through live, what you just said. Maybe just repeat that because you completely cut out on my end.
Yes. Yeah. So if there is an appraisal issue in the future, understand we're pretty strong negotiators, and a lot of times what we're doing is we're negotiating that if there is a shortfall in the appraisal, that the buyer is responsible for making up that difference. So just expect that we might be talking and having to numbers.
Okay. Yeah, you cut out at the last end again.
Right.
Yeah, something.
Go ahead and let's get to the numbers.
I don't know if it's my internet or your internet. Okay, well, let's just dive into numbers. Well, I got a couple of key points that I want to mention. Because, Brendan and I were talking the other day about number of sales right now in the market. And he threw out a number, and I had to go back and double check it because it was like, it blew my mind. So back from October 2006 to the end of February 2007, so that 5-month period, okay, which some of us would say, that was the real estate bubble. That was the hottest time of the real estate bubble back then. 1,958 homes sold during that period. Can you guess what we sold the same amount of time from October of last year until the end of February this year in single
I'm going to
family.
guess it's the same number, relatively the same.
5,011.
Oh, what from? Okay, wow, that's significant.
It went from 1958 to 5,011.
Wow.
More than double. So 2.5 times more homes sold these last 5 months than they did back in the real estate bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to lead into the numbers that we're going to talk about. Right now, we're seeing a record low level of single family homes right now in the market for sale. We've got a 1.3 month supply of homes in single family homes, which is insane. So a little bit of about a 5-week supply of inventory. Now, for the longest time, we've been carrying 6, 7, 8, 9 months worth of inventory. So right now, it's really slim pickings out there for buyers. Just wanted to kind of throw that out there. Just a little bit of an interesting thing I found.
Yeah, makes it a hot market for sure.
Okay, so single family homes continues to be hot right now. We're not seeing any sign of any slowdown. Total pending right now, almost 64% of all single family homes on the market right now are under contract.
Yeah. Amazing.
When it comes to resale homes, 63% of all homes. Again, this number used to be 30%. It was roughly 30% last year at this point, right? So we're more than double what we typically see right now as far as number of homes under contract relative to what's on the market. New construction, again, continues to be strong. Almost 65% of all homes under contract right now. Condos, this was, again, this number continues to grow. 50%. We haven't seen these kinds of numbers. You have to go back all the way back to the real estate bubble in 6 and 7 to see anything like this. So almost half of every single condo on the market right now is under contract. And I had this conversation multiple times this past week with potential sellers, is because there's no inventory left in homes, we're starting to see it trickle down to land. Okay, we're starting to see it trickle down to condos off the ocean, and possibly some on the ocean as well. As things start to get thinner with condos off the ocean, you'll see the condo market on the ocean front as well. Those numbers are really strong. Almost 35% of those are under contract.
Yeah.
So extremely strong numbers, Greg. It continues to get hotter and hotter. I'm not seeing any relief in sight as far as inventory hitting the market. You drive around town and you see a whole lot of construction, but it's just not making an impact on inventory just yet because it's going so fast. Land, look at land. It's up to 22% of all land right now under contract of what's on the market. Again, that number's always been 7 or 8%.
And that's one of the reasons why we started off with the what to expect, right? Because these are the numbers that's changing the environment. It's changing the negotiations. It's just changing the activity that we're getting on these listings. And so when we do, I can assure you, when I put a single family home on the market tomorrow, that home is going to get multiple offers within 24 hours. There's no doubt on my mind it's going to happen. Matter of fact, I'm actually getting ready to list one of my rental properties because I've got a vacancy, and because the market is so out of whack in the benefit of the seller, I'm just going to take some of the profits off the table right now, and then I'll just kind of sit back and wait a couple years and buy back in. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and I think that's a smart idea. I think right now it's a good time to be seller. Looking back, right now the median sales price for single family homes is $285,000.
Yeah.
If we go back to the height of the market back at the bubble, it was $243,750.
Yeah.
So we're seeing record prices on sales. We're seeing record low level of inventory. It's just a good time to be a seller if you're in a position where you've been thinking about, upgrading. If you've been thinking about downsizing because your home's too big, this is just a good time to get ahead and pull the trigger on that because you're going to get a great price. Then you're also going to lock in on low interest rates before interest rates possibly go back up again. I think you froze up again, Greg. All right, we'll get ahead and wrap this up, but that's the numbers. As always, if you guys out there have any questions at all, anything that you need, whether you're selling, buying, or even if you're just curious as to what you can possibly get right now in the market, those are our numbers right there on the screen. That's our personal cell phone numbers. So you call, text, you can reach us. Since we started doing the show, Greg, we've had a lot of people reach out to us. And some are sellers and some are just curious as to what's happening. So we're more than glad to help you any way that we can. Just go ahead and reach out to us.
All right. Thanks a lot, Abe. Bye, everybody.
Take care.